We all want to be free, don't we? But what if the heaviest chains holding us back aren't made of iron, but are forged inside our own minds? A 19th century spiritual master from India, Sri Ramakrishna, taught that two powerful forces, more than any others, keep us trapped: the craving for sensual pleasure and the hunger for money and possessions. In his simple, earthy language, he called this kama-kanchana. This is often translated literally as woman and gold, but its meaning goes much deeper. This is the story of how these two forces can bind us, and how, according to Ramakrishna, we can finally break free. Now, the problem isn't that men, women, or money exist. Ramakrishna was very clear on this. The real issue, he insisted, is attachment. It's that inner, compulsive need for physical pleasure and worldly security that messes with our minds and drains our spiritual energy. He wasn't trying to be a moral scold. He was offering a spiritual diagnosis for the anxiety and restlessness that so many of us feel. Ramakrishna saw that the mind just can't serve two masters. You can pray, you can meditate, you can do all the right things, but if your heart is secretly still chasing pleasure and profit, your inner life is going to be a wreck. To get his point across, he used simple, sometimes shockingly blunt images drawn from the world around him. He'd point out how a housefly sits on a pile of sweets one moment and on a heap of filth the next. A mind torn between the divine and worldly indulgence, he suggested, becomes just like that, spiritually unstable. Another powerful image he might use is that of a vulture. Vultures can soar to incredible heights, looking almost majestic against the sky. But even from way up there, their eyes are glued to the ground, scanning for a dead body. In the same way, a person can look incredibly spiritual, talking about high philosophy and grand ideas. But if their inner focus is secretly fixated on money, status, and physical pleasure, their spiritual life is just a performance. This lust and gold, he taught, is what keeps us tied to the earth, no matter how high we pretend to soar. So if these chains are that strong, how in the world do we break them? Ramakrishna, ever the master storyteller, explained the solution with one of his most beloved parables. He said to imagine that the human soul is like a tiny needle, and God is a giant, powerful magnet. By its very nature, the needle should be drawn to the magnet. That's its purpose. But what happens if the needle is completely covered in a thick layer of mud? The magnet's pull has no effect. The needle just sits there, stuck, unable to move. That mud, Ramakrishna taught, is the accumulated dirt of our attachments, our endless cravings for lust and gold. When our mind is caked in this mud, it can't feel the pull of the divine. It stays trapped in the world of the senses, believing that this muddy, stuck condition is the only reality there is. But here's the good news. The story doesn't end there. Ramakrishna says that mud can be washed away. And how do you wash away this mud? Not by punishing yourself, but with the tears of a deep, sincere longing for something more. When you can cry out with your whole heart that you want truth, that you want God more than anything else, those very tears begin to purify the mind. This is the heart of Ramakrishna's path. It isn't about hating the world or running away from life. It's about a radical change in what you focus on. He taught the path of viveka, which is just the ability to tell the difference between what's real and what's temporary. Worldly pleasures and wealth, they come and go, and they never, ever bring lasting peace. The only thing that's real, he would say, is the divine, and that is the only true source of joy. The second part of the path is vairagya, or non-attachment. This is an inside job. Ramakrishna didn't tell people to abandon their families or their jobs. Instead, he gave the example of a maid working in a rich person's house. She takes care of the house, she raises the children, she even calls them my son or my daughter. But in the back of her mind, she always knows that her real home is in her village, far away. In the same way, we're meant to live in the world and fulfill our duties, but keep our minds secretly pointed toward our true home, God. It's important to understand that his famous phrase, woman and gold, was a shorthand for the strongest worldly pulls he saw around him. It wasn't a condemnation. When he spoke to his female devotees, he would adjust his language, warning them against the specific attachments that could hold them back. The point was always the same: conquer the lust and greed within your own mind. If these timeless ideas on finding true freedom are resonating with you, think about subscribing to our channel. We explore ancient wisdom for the modern world every single week. We'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What are the attachments that you find most challenging in the world today? Ultimately, Ramakrishna's message is one of incredible hope. He assures us that once the mind is cleaned of its obsession with the fleeting pleasures of lust and gold, you don't have to force it to be spiritual. It will be naturally and irresistibly drawn to a higher reality, just as a clean needle is pulled to a magnet. The struggle isn't about creating some new attraction. It's just about washing away the mud that's stopping us from feeling the pull that's been there all along. For him, the goal of life was to realize God, and freedom from these two chains is the key that finally unlocks the door.